right, and I think we should be good to go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Slider Break. My name is Gami Crayola. I am your host, and joining me in the VC is a very, very special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome iFlame to the stream. iFlame, how you doing, man?
I'm doing, I'm great. It's late in the evening. Just finished my exams for the summer, so I'm feeling good. Thank you for inviting me, having me on. These interviews are super cool.
Yeah, the pleasure is all mine, iFlame. Thank you so much for coming back to 6WC, and we hope that we'll have some fire questions being dealt with today. But let's not dilly dally any further. Let's jump straight
Of
into it,
course.
and let's start off with what is your experience in the six-digit scene?
Yeah, I think I could say I have a little bit of experience in the six-digit scene. Obviously, it's where I got started. When I first got into tournaments, I played a ton of six-digit tournaments. I experimented a lot with staffing as well in six-digit tournaments. I think I tried pretty much every staff role in six-digit between commentary, reffing, pulling, which is how I eventually landed on commentary and decided never to pool ever again because that is miserable. Shout out to all the poolers. And then I've had some involvement outside of that as well, right? I actually founded the Canadian 6WC server and coached them during the very first 6WC. I was too high ranked to play at the time, but it's a lot of fun. Sadly, I don't have the time to coach them anymore, so I've passed on that torch to some of the other Canadian 6WC players. And then a fact that very, very few people know is that I actually hosted a couple of years back now two six-digit tournaments, and they were six-digit pass tournaments. So the idea was it was a six-digit tournament, and the pools were something like like 6, 7-star pools. Players would play without no fail, and the goal is just to pass the map. And so those were a lot of fun. Some lore right there, but yeah, I'd say outside of open rank because it's been so many years, like six digit is definitely the rank range I've spent the most time in, both playing and staffing.
Oh wait, really? How long ago were you in six-digit?
Um, I feel like I was part of six digit tournaments for like 2 years or something. Like I probably played them for a year, but before I started playing in like 50K tournaments instead. But even when I started playing, in in 50K tournaments, sorry, I would
Yeah.
still staff like almost entirely six-digit tournaments because most of my friends I had made through six-digit
Ah.
tournaments, and so at the time I was kind of just you know staffing with friends and doing things with them. So probably commentated six-digit tournaments for a good 2 years, if not longer.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
And then how long ago was this? Was this what 2022, 2021?
It's hard to say. Yeah, it must have been like 2021, 2022, maybe partially 2020. My memory is so foggy with dates that far back. But yeah, it's been a few years now.
Yeah, and like the thing about that is when you were in six-digit, that six-digit at that point was probably a very new rank range. No, that's like when it started, slowly getting built. Is that right?
I'm not really sure, honestly. It's hard. Like, I don't think I was
Mm-hmm.
around that long ago. Like, six digit
Ah,
was definitely established by the time I started. Like, I think it was definitely like much earlier in the six digit days. So um, there was a lot of like I don't know. There's so much in six digit now. So many cool tournaments compared to back then, where it was all pretty like standard basic tournaments. Were still a lot of fun, but it is pretty crazy how much the six digit scene has developed over the years with things like 6WC and other
or
big
six.
six digit
Yeah.
tournaments. But yeah, no, I definitely can't say I was around for like the start of the six digit scene. That was before my time.
I see. Do you like recognize Deva? Is that Deva and Jaden's era? I'm six-digit. I don't freaking remember, but
Oh, I do remember
oh, you do.
like Jaden, like the D ranker.
Yeah, yeah, Jaden the D ranker. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
still playing.
I don't know Deva, but I do know Jaden. Actually, Jaden won my first six-digit pass tournament.
Oh, yep, yep. That sounds about
Yeah,
right. So yeah, that era is probably like yeah, no, it sort of checks out around 6WC1 ish. Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
yeah. See,
And
my era
mhm.
was when Styles and was it like Nandez or something? something with
Now I
Loki.
know
They were the two
Nandas.
big D rankers in Stitch. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Styles and Nandez were the like huge D rankers. It
Mm.
was crazy because Styles was just like perma screen from every six-digit tournament at a certain point. Like they didn't actually have like screening back then. Like six-digit tournaments didn't have like official screening, and they mostly still don't. But
Yeah.
like Styles would just get like screened from every tournament on site, no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. 6 digit witch hunting. Never change.
Yeah,
6 digit witch hunting. No D
yeah.
rankers. But yeah. And I believe this was around the era where the BQT series was starting, like beginning. There were like 6 BQTs if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, there was six of them, and BQT is actually a very fond memory of mine. That's kind of
Oh.
where I got my start in commentary. As a whole, it was like the whole thing was like super lucky. Like I thought a lot of things had to happen for me to get into commentary.
Mhm.
Like when I used to play, I didn't know a thing about tournaments. I think I probably watched the World Cup, and beyond that, I didn't really like. It never even occurred to me that other people at other rank ranges would have tournaments.
Ah.
So I got a message one day from like just like on the just on Osu message from Ilungian, now known
Ah,
as
Elon.
Ferrybread,
Yeah.
advertising SDK and was like, "Hey, I'm hosting a SDK tournament. Do you want to play us?" I was like, "Yeah, why not? I'll check it out. Maybe it could be fun." And there's a player called Ambulance
Mhm.
who became a pretty well-known staff member later on that happened to post in the forums looking for a teammate. So I ended up teaming with Ambulance, who ended up carrying me to like top six.
You love to see it.
And it was like there was a bunch of us players that made like the top six of SDK. I think Bubbly QT, the host of obviously that tournament series, it was her first tournament as well. So essentially, what happened is a bunch of us from the that placed well in SDK basically came together and made BQT happen. Obviously, Bubbly was
Oh.
the host who organized it all. But she basically got all the staff from the for the first edition of BQT from STK, and so that's where I kind of like messed around with all of the staff roles. That's where I like started out with commentary for the first time ever, and like even to this day, like having so much experience in commentary now, BQT is like easily one of my favorite tournaments. Like the very first edition is easily one of my favorite tournaments I've ever been a
Mhm.
part of, just because that like that staff group was like so close and like so tight knit. And it was like I have to say like that staff on the first BQT it was an atmosphere that I've like not experienced like in all my time commentating since then. So yeah, I have very fond memories of BQT.
Wow. And how big was the group? Because you said it was all like players, right, from SDK.
Yeah, like there was not a lot of us. The first BQT was very much carried by Ilangian or Ferrybread,
Mhm.
like because the big majority of us had not staffed before. Bubbly had never hosted before, so Ilangian basically taught all of us how to staff. Oversaw the
Wow.
map pooling, all of that, and like a lot of like decently big names got started in BQT, I think. Like um,
Shit.
Walrus started in BQT. I think a Secret started in BQT as well,
Oh, I
who
see.
I think like ended up reffing some like OWC matches. So
Yeah.
there's quite a few people who got their starts there. But yeah, it was a very like fresh staff group. We knew basically
Mm.
nothing, and Ilangian very much carried that tournament and taught everybody how to staff.
Wow. So it was from it was from like the inexperience that everybody like sort of like bonded and grew together. That's really cool.
Yeah, exactly. And then I mean, obviously BQT kept getting bigger and bigger, and then Bali did like open ranks, and there's like
Mm.
six editions of the six-digit tournament, and it kind of grew into, I think, one of the bigger six-digit tournaments
It was the
when it was
biggest
still
in its
going.
time. I think it was the biggest in its time. Yeah.
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 So yeah, it was really awesome to be part of like the start of that because
Mm.
and have that be my very first tournament. I think my profile banner is still a BQT profile banner that I got ages
Okay.
ago.
Okay. I gotta check this out. Wait one sec. Oh. BQT, man, it's a shame that I was too young. I was too young to play BQT. I,
It is. It was a
I
great tournament.
yeah, I think oh my gosh, BQT two MVP commentator. Yeah, I see it. I see it. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't. They didn't have banners for the first one,
Wow.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
no. That is insanely cool. I think I only joined the scene in BQT six and that was invitational only, so just barely
yeah,
missed it. But yeah.
yeah.
Fantastic
Most of our
series,
invitations
honestly.
were.
I think
It was.
BQT set up like a really good precedent for other big series to come. I think after BQT there was like NPC, non-professional cup, that
Hmm.
ran 7 iterations, and then excluding the World Cup, there was also Core Six that I think has now 3 iterations of itself, going to 4 this year. So yeah, I can say that of the big names of 6 digit, BQT set a very good fundamental. And honestly, it's a shame that I wasn't part of it, but hey, it's
It
good to look
is.
back. It's good to look back. Yeah.
It definitely is. It is nice to look back on.
And I mean, now while we're on that sort of topic of BQT being your first tournament, I mean, what what was it like being in the commentary booth for the first time? Because I still remember my first time commentating, and I was an annoying bitch.
Funnily enough, I don't really have any memory of my first time. Like, I
Mhm,
imagine at some point they must have like needed commentators, and I must have at some point gone, yeah, I think I could be all right at that. I'll give it a try, and I ended up really enjoying it.
mhm,
But I actually have like no memory of my very first time commentating. I do feel like I remember being a little bit nervous for it, but I think like I was naturally pretty solid at commentary.
mhm.
And I mean, it was so long ago now that it's just like, so I don't remember much of it, to be honest.
I see, I see. And I mean, the next question is what motivated you? But I assume that it was like the staff team from that very homely atmosphere that you got from BQT that sort of pushed you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like at first, in terms of staffing, it was like very much the other staff, other people at BQT. But then just like outside of BQT, it was like very much the six digit community. Like I met a lot of like super cool people in six digit. Like a lot of some of my closest friends I've met when I first started staffing tournaments in six digit. Players like Itness and Sinch. I don't know if you are
Oh,
familiar with them.
Innes is still playing this year.
Is he actually? Let's go,
I think
Itness. I
Innes
love
is
that.
from Poland, right? Innes.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
Polish. Yeah, I played quite a few tournaments with
Oh
Itness
wow. Yeah. No.
back in the day. Yeah, but like in terms of like outside of BQT, I would say like my motivation for commentary specifically was
Mm,
honestly just enjoyment. Like back when I started, obviously I didn't have any ideas or any thoughts about like, oh, maybe I could commentate bigger tournaments someday. I was like, yeah, I just tried it out. I was like, hey, this is actually pretty fun. I'll just, and obviously, I mean, past six digit tournaments are always in need of staff, so it wasn't hard to find tournaments looking for commentators. And I was like, well, yeah, it's kind of fun. I enjoy it. Why not? So I have to say, really, it was the community and just my enjoyment is really just having fun, meeting people, hanging out with the community.
And was there ever a point where you started to think, hey, maybe I can actually go somewhere with this goal? And if so, where was this switch?
There definitely was like a kind of switch that flipped at some point, but not for a very long time, honestly. There was like um, two like it must have been after like a couple of years of commentary, maybe like a year or two. And for me, I actually didn't commentate much five digit at all because like I was perfectly happy commentating and staffing six digit. That's where all my friends are. So I just commentated six digit for a while, and eventually, at some point, I realized I'm like, I'm actually pretty good at commentary. Like, um, and at first, like I was just like, oh, maybe it'd be fun to commentate some open rank tournaments. So I got into commentating some open rank tournaments. I really enjoyed that. And like the more I did open rank tournaments, I was like, I like, I'm being asked to commentate like a lot of grand finals for these open rank tournaments. Like I'm getting pretty good at casting. So at that point, I started to like take it a lot more seriously and like kind of like think a lot more about my commentary style and just like trying to get into bigger and bigger tournaments, and eventually I was like, maybe there's a chance I can get in. Oh, I never dreamed I could get into OWC. I was like, maybe I can do like course ace.
I see, I see. And then you ended up doing both, and then you ended up just doing both. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. It's just pretty crazy. But yeah, essentially I went straight from like 6 digit to open rank tournaments. I really didn't commentate much in 5 digit, four
Mm,
digit, or 3 digit until after I'd already done a bunch of open rank stuff.
I see, I see. So a lot of it is like spontaneity from your side, like you just kept on doing it, and then you found it fun, and then somehow you just managed to end up there. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Like it wasn't for a very long time that I ever thought of like, maybe I could do this at a higher level.
All right. So what's the timeline of this of going from 6 digit all the way to open rank?
It was honestly very quick. Like it was pretty crazy. Like I was doing 6 digit, like almost entirely 6 digit tournaments. Like I think maybe I did like one open rank tournament, which is like OSBT, which is like a multi-rank tournament. And then I didn't like obviously I didn't know anybody in open rank.
Yep.
I pretty much only knew people from 6 digit staff, and so what I did is I joined the OSU Tournament Hub, and in OSU Tournament Hub, they will kind of like ping for staff roles that they needed. So I
Oh.
just watched OSU Tournament Hub, and anytime an open rank tournament did a ping that said we need commentators, I would send them a message and say, hey, I can commentate for you. And I basically did a bunch of kind of like smaller open rank tournaments.
Mm.
And then I'd say it must have been after a couple months, probably. Like, I feel like it couldn't have been more than like 2 to 3 months, months max. I got like, I mean, this was like I mean, must have been super lucky, but I got like the golden opportunity. USC made a post in
Ah.
OSU Tournament Hub and said, "We're looking for commentators." So I messaged
Ah.
T1G, this one guy, and I was
T1G.
like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Hey, I saw in the Tournament Hub you're looking for commentators," and he was like, "Yeah, can you send me a VOD?" So I sent him a VOD of recent grand finals I commentated for a smaller open rank tournament, and he thought my commentary was good enough and let me into USC, and then kind of everything just kind of went from there. Like, I guess he was pretty impressed with my commentary in USC because I think after like it might have been after either one, I want to say it was after the first USC, maybe it was two, I could be misremembering, but I think after like the first USC, he invited me to Corsace, which was crazy.
Right. Right.
And then after that, I think it was a year to get into OWC.
Wow. Wow.
So
That
like
that's
yeah, it was
insane.
like super quick to from like 6 digit tournaments. It was only like a few months, like half a year at most, I think, to go from 6 digit to the Corsace.
Yeah, but I mean, in all fairness, you were doing a lot of open rank stuff here and there. Like, how much of your weekend would you spend on commentary per week?
Oh, I would do a lot. Like at the time, I was grind like I really wanted because that when I started doing open rank, it was because I think I had that realization that I was like maybe I could take this to the next level and do bigger tournaments. So I kind of just like grinded open ranks and like I every single open rank tournament looking for commentators in the OSU Tournament Hub, I would apply to because my thought is like I don't know anybody in these like big open rank tournaments. They all like know each other. So knowing that I don't have any connections, like the best way to make connections at that level and get yourself to be more known is to just commentate as many tournaments as possible. You work with like tons of different staff, and then like the more people you work with, the more people know you, and the easier it is to get into bigger and bigger tournaments because people will. All it takes is for people to recognize you. You don't actually have to like know them, but if people recognize your name, a lot of times they're willing to give you a chance, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so that's kind of just how it went. But yeah, a lot of times I'd be doing like 2 or 3 tournaments at a time.
Yeah. And as a commentator myself, yeah, no, juggling between 6WC and another tournament and casting winner circle is already a massive pin. So how do you go about like juggling your time, or like choosing matches per se?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, this might just be an ADHD thing, but I have ADHD, so like I get like super invested in certain like things for periods at a time, and I just get pretty tired of them.
Mhm.
So I had like a period where I was just like super motivated to do commentary for like a couple months. So I was like actually just really enjoying just grinding out all these open rank tournaments.
Mhm.
And so I genuinely think I got really lucky because I think like had I had to, do that for like another couple months, I probably would have ended up burning out
Ah.
pretty quickly and just kind of taking a long break from commentary.
Uh-huh.
But because I got into USC, which for me at the time was like, this is like the biggest
Big.
tournament I ever commentated. This is so crazy. Like,
Mhm.
I've made it kind of. But I like getting into USC really like just like kept my motivation alive to keep commentating. I was able to kind of keep that going.
Mhm.
So I think I was pretty lucky to have that progression happen so
Right.
quickly. I think now I have to be a lot more kind of careful about that because even now, like for example, like Res Cup and USC and one other tournament were all happening at the same time. Those both ended like 2, 3 weeks ago, I think. So I was super burnt out after that. But usually, I'll have a period of like I'm doing like 2 or 3 tournaments at once, and then I'll kind of be burnt out a little bit by the end of them. So I take a 2 to 3 week break until the next big tournament, and then do another couple tournaments at once. But even then, I've learned I have to pace myself. Like
Mhm.
I really love the 6 digit community. So like I have like I don't know. I just want to like support people who get into the tournament scene.
Mhm.
So I try to kind of say yes to every tournament request that I get, even
Ah.
like 6 digit, 5 digit, whatever the tournament may be. If people are like, "Hey, we're looking for commentators. Any chance you want to commentate?" I'll try and say yes. And what I did at first, when I
Mhm.
first became more well known, is like I really did just say yes to everybody, and I burnt my like I got way more tournament requests than I expected, and I burnt myself out
Wow.
super quickly. So now I have to be more
Select.
realistic about it, and I've
Mhm.
realized that when people ask me, I'm like, I'll join. Chances are I'm only going to be able to commentate like one, maybe 2 matches in the tournament, but like
Mhm.
I'll be around and maybe do a couple matches. So I've learned to kind of set that expectation, and that way I don't burn myself out constantly.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. It's about taking breaks and sort of maintaining a steady tempo, right? Uh,
Yeah,
mhm.
mm.
Yeah. So, how did you find your style? You know, every commentator has a unique style, but how did you get that style? I assume it has to be some time where you were commentating, God knows how many matches a weekend.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because you're right in that like every commentator has a different style,
Mhm.
and a lot of commentators have pretty unique styles too.
Mhm.
Like I know by now I've like developed my own style, but
Mhm.
especially when I first started out in 6 digit tournaments, I didn't really like give any thought to my style. I kind of just commentated and did what I thought was a decent job of commentary.
Yeah.
And I guess I'd have to say I kind of just modeled it off what I saw in OWC. Like I would watch OWC and I was like, all right, yeah, I kind of understand what they're doing. I'll kind of just copy that. And it worked out. And so it wasn't until like actually for a very long time, I didn't really think about style at all. So my style kind of developed very naturally. There wasn't much intention behind it.
Mhm.
And like even when I started doing open rank tournaments, like I didn't give it much thought. I was kind of just doing my thing, and I was like I was definitely like trying to make sure my commentary was good.
Mhm.
But my thought process is more, I was like, okay, did I feel like this was good commentary? How can I improve it?
Right.
There was never the thought process of like, oh, what do I want my style to be? Not all the way up until like probably until OWC is and like Corsace is when I
Mhm.
like first thought about style. But I also think like it comes down to personality as well for a lot of people. Like you have like commentators like Blank Tap, right, is the
Yeah.
recent example where he's like super loud and that's just his like personality. Whereas like me, like as a person, I tend to be like very reserved, very like quiet. I'm not a super like emotional person, so like I don't know, you'll never see me really be emotional about things, and so and that's kind of I think why I trended towards more of an analyst or color caster type thing, because I was never like the best at, you know, during those like big moments, getting like a ton of emotion into my voice and hyping everything up.
Mhm.
That was never my strong suit. So obviously I have enough experience that I can do that pretty well now, but it was never my strength. And so I think that style just developed naturally because of my personality.
I see, I see. Yeah, no, you're kind of known as the color cast to look at. Were there any points when you were trying to develop your commentary where you went through VODs and you reviewed them and you compared them to your own VODs and you tried to pick things up from there? Like more purposive studying, quote unquote.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's like one of the number one things I think I'd recommend for anyone who's true like if you like really want to improve your commentary, I'd say like go like after a match, watch the VOD back, and like obviously like it doesn't have to be perfect, but I would do sometimes is I'd watch my VOD back and I would kind of like treat myself as a viewer. I'm like, okay, if I'm a viewer, like do I enjoy this commentary? Like, how does this feel like it compares to like a, you know, professional or like OWC level commentator? Like, you know, if I was a viewer watching this commentary for like an OWC match, would I be like happy with that level of commentary, or would it be like kind of like subpar? And so I think like reviewing your VODs is really helpful. It can help you pick up on like specific things. Like one thing I notice a lot of people do is they'll find like one thing to say and they'll end up like repeating it many
Ah, yep.
times over,
Mm,
which is like really easy to fall into because it's like when there's a lot happening, it's very easy to fall back on that.
mm.
And so just reviewing VODs can help you pick up on things like that. Um, you do have to get over the fact of listening to yourself because I hated hearing my like I've listened to myself enough by now that I've gotten used to it. But when I first started doing that, I could not stand listening to
Who is this
myself
guy?
commentate.
Who
I
is
was
this
like,
guy?
man, this guy sounds so terrible. Who does he think he is?
Get off this movie. Yeah, no.
Pretty much, yeah. But once you get past that, like VOD review of your commentary is like one of the best ways to improve, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, 100%. Um, while we're on the topic about improvement and whatnot, what would you say is the hardest aspect of commentary to really refine to the professional level?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pick one, but I do have I think two of them.
Hmm.
The first one is kind of a more high level thing, and this is something I mostly see like pretty good commentators that are like on the verge of like being good enough to commentate tournaments like OWC and Course Ace, but are like just barely not quite there. I feel like the biggest thing I tend to notice is kind of energy levels throughout matches.
Mm.
Like I think it's pretty intuitive to most commentators, right? Like if there's a miss at the start of a map, it's not super exciting, so you don't need very much energy level. Like if there's like a big miss, someone drops an FC towards the end of the map, scores really close, that's when you want to raise your energy level. That's pretty intuitive for most people. What I tend to notice is that people have a tough time kind of managing
Selecting.
their energy levels over the course of the entirety of the
Right.
match. Like I like in my mind, if you can have like a really close map, but if it's like the very first map of the match, you want to like add energy, but you don't want to go like right to max energy, no matter how exciting that map may be, because it's the very start of the match, like, and you need to be able to ramp it up like towards the end of the match. Because if it ends up being a really close match, let's say you go to tiebreaker, then you need to be able to kind of like find that extra gear of energy and kind of have that kind of natural increase. Whereas like if you get kind of super excited about the very first map and you have the same energy as
Uh,
you would in like a tiebreaker, it doesn't quite flow the same. So I think it's just about kind of maintaining energy levels over the course of a match instead of just over individual maps. The other one I would say that's like kind of one you have to judge for yourself and is just being able to adapt your commentary to the person you're commentary with. you're
Mm,
commentating with. Sorry, I think that's like one of the absolute hardest things to do as a commentator is just be flexible with anybody you commentate with. I know you have a specific question about that, so I can go into more detail about that later.
yeah, no, no comment on two. No comment on two play-by-play casters casting each other. It's just a bunch of shouting in the booth. But yeah, thank you for that. I think the energy levels things I definitely relate with. My reaction when player misses an SS in the first 10 seconds of the map. That's crazy. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's about selection, right? It's about being selective and purposive with the way that you sort of paint a narrative. Would that be right to say?
exactly. You just got to
Mhm.
like build up over the course of the match and kind of pick your moments.
Yeah, I see. I see. I guess we can move on to our next question. And moving away from improvement, was there any match that you felt like you didn't do the best, or you felt that your casting was a bit off? And if so, how did you go about responding or bouncing back or improving from it?
Yeah, honestly, I'd say there's been plenty of tons of matches that I feel like my commentary has not been that good. And I mean, in the future, I have no doubt there's going to be plenty more matches where I don't feel like my commentary was all that good. And I mean, it can happen for any number of reasons. You know, sometimes you're just tired, you're commentating at like 2 in the morning, you're exhausted, and I'm like, yeah, commentary wasn't that good. In that case, you kind of just there's not much to come back from. You're like, yeah, okay, I was exhausted. The cast is not going to be perfect. It is what it is. Other times, yeah, every once in a while, sometimes I'll just feel like I had a bad cast, and in that case, I think it's most important to just kind of understand why you felt like it was a bad cast.
Mm,
You know, if I feel like I was just tired, not a big deal, I move on. But if I maybe sometimes I'll feel like, okay, I don't feel like I prepped enough. I didn't really know that much about the teams or the pool, and so my commentary wasn't that good. And then I can kind of like act on that and kind of make sure I'm more prepped for the next match. But
mm,
I'd also say like you got to make sure you're not too hard on yourself. Like not every cast can be the perfect cast, right? You're
mm,
gonna have like some better casts. You're gonna have some worse casts, and that's gonna be like that never ends. There's no point where it's like, okay, now all the casts are perfect.
mhm,
And I think for me personally, what I have tried to do for my own commentary is I really tried to get myself to a point where my my good casts are like amazing, like incredible casts, and then like my casts I don't feel like as good about are still like good enough to be like up there, like in terms of commentary quality, so that like even if I'm having an off day, my commentary is still like has a pretty decent base level. And I think the big thing
mm,
that helped me with that was like just commentating a ton, because like on those days where I'm like exhausted and like commentating a match at 2 in the morning, I can kind of just I've done it so much that I can just autopilot a lot of the commentary. And
mhm.
so even though it's not my best cast, I'm like, yeah, I kind of just autopiloted and it's still pretty good quality cast.
Yeah, yeah. It's about raising that base floor so that even your off days are still pretty okay. Yeah, no.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I see. How is the pressure how's the pressure like being an OWC Corsair's caster? I've casted some open rank in the past, and whenever I'm casting a big match, oh shit, there's gonna be Dio and Sat Shiba in the casting booth with me. I'm like, oh, I'm so nervous. I get really really nervous, and I mean, how's the pressure like? I bet you've done it a lot, so maybe you have something to say.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of pressure, especially at first, right? I think the first match I did for Corsace and the first match I did for OWC, I was really nervous beforehand.
Mm.
And like, funny that you mentioned Shiba and Dio specifically because I commentated the OWC 2023 Grand Finals with those two, and
Oh,
like that was the most nervous I've ever felt. Like
that
possibly
was South
ever, like
Korea, right?
genuinely.
That was South Korea.
That was what, sir?
That was
Yeah,
South
South
Korea.
Korea, US
The
in
must be
2023.
silence.
Like I was like before the match, I was like genuinely shaking. I was like terrified, like I had like a pit in my stomach. And like a lot of times before the match, if you're commentating, you'll just like be talking to the other commentators a bit about the match, about random stuff, whatever. I think I said like maybe like I was sitting in call for like probably 10, 15 minutes before the match, and I think I probably said like 5 words max the whole time. I was just staring at the countdown timer, like waiting for I was like, oh God, it's happening soon. What do I do?
You were the analyst specialist in that match, if I recall, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
was. But
remember it.
what I find personally is like once you get into the match, like you're
Mm.
so focused on the match and focused on your commentary that the kind of at least for me, the nervousness really goes away pretty quickly because I mean I'm too focused to really give it much thought. And so you get used to it pretty quickly. And then like now that I've done it more, I don't get so nervous about these kinds of matches anymore.
It's about passing that first barrier and stop and not thinking about casting the match and actually casting the match. I get it.
Yeah, once you've gotten through the match, you're like, wow, I did it. I'm capable. I can do it again.
I'm good, and then you do it again, and then before the match, you're like, ah, shit, I can't do it. I can't do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
On the topic of OWC and courses, I mean, as a analyst specialist yourself, as one of the best analyst specialists in the scene, how do you prepare for a match?
Yeah, I do like a ton of prep for my matches,
Mm-hmm.
like an absurd amount of prep. I think probably my biggest strength as an analyst, as a caster, is my prep,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm pretty sure like I do more prep than most of the other casters I know. So first, I go through the map pool and kind of take pretty detailed notes. So I kind of make sure I know like what skill set the map requires, like any big breakpoints, like so that when you have like that big tricky pattern coming up, you can kind of say, yeah, like
There's a big
this
and tricky
team is
pattern
making a
coming up.
comeback, but there's this kind of unhittable pattern coming up
Oh.
that's probably going to mess them up. So being aware of things like that, and then like also being aware of things like is the map like consistent difficulty or is it like a really hard second half? So
Mm-hmm.
in that case, like if one team gets a lead at the start, chances are they're going to be able to hold on to it. Then I write down the rosters. I check all the team stats as well as their picks and bans from the previous weeks, so I can kind of get an idea of what they'll be picking and banning for the current match, and kind of so I can make those predictions
Mm-hmm.
properly, and that I can talk more confidently about like teams' strengths and weaknesses. And I'll kind of write down any notable player or team stats as well. So if a team got like a #1 score on a map, or if a player put up a really good score on a map, I'll note that down. So like if they pick like HD2 and a player popped off on HD2 last week, I can go, okay, well this player did really well on
Mm-hmm.
this map last week. Let's see if they can do it again. And then I'll also look through like past matches as well to kind of see which players are in for which maps. So I'm like, okay, if they pick a DT map, what's the lineup likely to look like? If they pick a Hard Rock AIM map, what's the roster likely to look like as well? So it's a lot that goes into it. And something that always shocks people is I actually prefer to write all my commentary notes on paper.
Oh, that's real.
Um,
Oh, that's real. My notebook, my
because
commentary.
yeah,
Yeah,
because yeah, I don't actually have a notebook though. I kind of just write them on loose pieces of paper. Because
that's
for
real.
me, like I have two monitors, right? So I'll have like the gameplay on one monitor, like maybe like the map pool on another monitor. But like I can spread out like 5 papers in front of me. No matter how many monitors I have.
Yeah.
But I would also say you have to like be careful about how much prep you're doing. I think like you have to pick your matches. Like obviously that's not reasonable to do for
Mm-hmm.
every single match. So like if I'm doing that for an OWC match, it'll take me like an hour and a half of prep before
Oh.
every single match, which is like a ton of time. And so like for a tournament like OWC or Corsace, I would do that for every single match. And so those tournaments that tend to have I'm like super burnt out by the time they're done. Then I take like a 2 month long break. But I'm at the point where like for like any smaller tournaments, I'll mostly only prep for grand finals, and otherwise I can kind of get away without it. Otherwise, I would burn myself out too much. I think like if you want to become a good analyst, like just doing a ton of prep is the best way to do it because you can like elevate your commentary so much with like just by having good player or team knowledge. And I think that's part of it too, is like when I started commentating for these bigger tournaments, like all these casters like that have been around the scene forever, right? Chili or Dio, T1G, they've been around for so long, they kind of just know the players already.
Yeah.
I don't have the memory to remember the players or anything about them. So I'm like, I have to, I kind of have to do the prep to make up for that gap in knowledge. But I think that's definitely a good idea if you're trying to get into high level commentary. But just make sure you don't burn yourself out, and do that for like I'd say like a grand finals match, and that way you have a VOD of your commentary, right? Like if you're trying to get into things like USC, they're not going to like go back and analyze every match you commentated. Usually, most people just ask for a VOD, and if the VOD's good, then you can get in. So, have a couple matches where you do spend like a ton of time doing a crazy amount of prep and have really good commentary, and then you can just hold on to that VOD whenever you need it.
Yeah, yeah, I relate to that. And I mean, as a you mentioned, right, it's very time consuming. So, as a
Yeah.
analyst, how do you go about being more efficient with your scouting?
Um, it might be the wrong person to ask. My scouting is probably not very efficient.
Mhm,
Like I probably spend a lot more time than I could on scouting.
mhm.
I think for me it helps that like the tournaments I commentate are big enough that like they all have stat sheets. So
Oh,
it's like really easy to like go and look at the stat sheets and like
right.
I can like very quickly like control F, look up a team name and like it doesn't take me too long to see okay, like the team did really well on these maps, they did poorly on these maps, and that gives me an idea of like what kind of things they should pick. And it doesn't actually take that long. When tournaments don't have stat sheets, it just takes an absurd amount of time, and I mostly don't bother. But
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm super efficient with my notes, so I'm not the best person to answer that question. I spend
Yeah.
like usually like an hour on map pool
Damn.
notes, and then like for something like OWC,
Damn.
yeah, an hour and a half of prep for every single match.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
That is the
it's
ordeal.
probably a little over the top, but I think it helps.
I mean, it's clearly working. It's clearly working. So, I mean,
Yeah, exactly. It's been
the you
working
can't
for
hit.
me well, so not gonna change it up now.
Yeah. All right. Before we get into a big haha philosophical question, let's go back to how you synergize with your co-cast. I mean, as a color specialist yourself, I'm sure you've had a lot of times where perhaps your co-cast is a color cast as well. How do you deal with working with the energy, or how do you complement a play-by-play, case by case basis, of course.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I think it's one of the hardest things to
Mhm.
do. Not that people can't do it. I think it's one of the hardest things to do at a high level, I feel like I should say, because you kind of have to be really good at different kinds of commentary. Like you said, sometimes you have an analyst, and if I'm commentating with another analyst, it's like, okay, time for me to do play by play.
Mhm.
And so if you want to be able to do that at a really high level, you have to kind of be good enough at every style of commentary so that when you need to fill in as play by play, you can do that at a pretty high level. And obviously, like if it's not your strength, it doesn't need to be perfect. Like I'm never going to be the best play-by-play caster like in the world. There's always going to be people that are better play-by-play casters than I am. But I can still get my play-by-play cast to a pretty high level, and then I use that
Mhm.
whenever people are analysts. But usually, like in most tournaments too, you don't really have like outside of like OWC and maybe like a grand finals match for like Corsairs or USC, you don't usually have like clearly defined roles like that. You kind of just get
True.
somebody in and you commentate.
True.
So you kind of have to get good at like recognizing just based on their energy pretty quickly, like what kind of a commentator they are,
Mm.
and like based on kind of how they're talking, you can kind of adapt to that. And I think it's also pretty important to kind of just feed off their energy as well. Like sometimes, for example, like if I cast with like Miles, he's
Mm.
a super like chill commentator, like very like relaxed. So I'll kind of like match that energy, and a lot of times we'll have like a really like chill cast. Whereas like,
Welcome
you know,
to
if
the
you cast with somebody
podcast.
with a lot, yeah, exactly. That's me and Miles cast. It's the podcast. But if I'm casting with somebody with a lot of energy, then I'll try to kind of have more energy as well.
Mhm.
And I have to say, I think that's one of the big reasons that T1G is probably my favorite commentator is like
Oh.
I feel like he's the best at just adapting his commentary to absolutely anybody he commentates with, and like no matter who it is, no matter what their style it is, he can just like he'll fit right in with them, and it feels super natural no matter who he's paired with. So shout out
Mhm.
to T1G.
Yeah, I mean T1G is like one of the oldest casters in the scene, so he
Yeah,
has a lot of experience under his belt, right?
he does. Yeah, he's definitely one of the most experienced. He's been doing it for like 10 years or something.
Oh my days, yeah. No, that's incredible. I mean, when you are, so let's talk a bit about OWC. You know, when you are doing like predefined rules, how do you go about communicating with people? I think Shiba once told me that when building synergy with his co-cast, he loves discussing. Okay, at what point in the map should I stop talking so that I can let my PvP or let my color shine, depending on the climaxes of the map and whatnot. So do you have any sort of this pre-planned going into a match with someone that you're probably experienced with casting?
Yeah, that's pretty interesting actually. I did not know that about Shiba. I've contacted with Shiba for a long time, but I definitely don't quite do anything like
Mm-hmm.
that. I kind of have I have a bit of a different view on it, I'll say.
Ah.
In like, I think like if you're commentating with one other person, like usually like if you commentated with them before, you kind of know what their strengths are, but I feel like most of the 90% of the time you just have two people commentating, right?
Yeah.
So there's not like a clearly defined, you don't necessarily need a clearly defined an analyst versus play-by-play because both people should be filling both roles to some extent. Like you can have one
Mm-hmm.
person that is more knowledgeable about play-by-play and one person that's more knowledgeable about analysis. But generally, like even though I'm like the analyst, right? I'm still going to be doing a decent amount of
Mm-hmm.
play-by-play throughout the match because one
Of
person is
course.
not going to fill the entire map. And so for me, it's less about actively thinking about where to kind of stop my like. So Shiba's a great play-by-play caster. So to use Shiba as an example, like I personally am never thinking about like, okay, where should I stop to kind of let Shiba use the play-by-play? I feel like like almost every map tends to have pretty natural stopping points where there's
Mm-hmm.
less action, and so it just makes the most sense to kind of stop there and like if you're the one commentating, like let's say if I'm the one commentating and there's like a big play-by-play moment, and like I'm in the middle of a sentence, and it's like sometimes you just have to transition into play-by-play, right? Like it's a lot of times doesn't really make sense to just stop what you're saying to let the play-by-play take over all the time. So I feel like a lot of the time the roles aren't super clearly defined. You just kind of have to for me at least, I just kind of feel out one is a natural stopping point to stop talking and then let the other person take over from there. With like something where you have three-person cast, it's a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
You either have like very clear roles, like with the OWC Grand Finals, we had I was purely an analyst, so I would pretty much only talk between maps about Big Band and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Shiba was only doing play-by-play and he didn't talk between the maps at all. And then Dio kind of floated between both. And then the other common one is just you just rotate between the three people. Are the two like general ways people handle that?
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess this ties into what you mentioned, right? Like being adaptable as a cast is very important. This when both of
Yeah,
you guys, when there are two people in the booth, you kind of have to do both. So it's about being adaptable. That's
yeah,
definitely.
and I think
Mhm. Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
yeah, I think like even without that, like you don't have to be like an expert at being adaptable to have like pretty good commentary.
Hmm.
It's just like I think yeah, it's like if you want to like elevate your commentary to like the absolute highest level you can, then it's definitely something worth focusing on.
Yeah. I guess while we're talking about roles and stuff, you talked a lot about prep as a color cast, right? But I'm sure across your years of experience, you sort of picked up some non-prep related stuff. So I'm talking about evaluation of picks or whatnot that happens not before the match, but that comes with you drawing the links during the match. I don't know. I don't quite. I don't know if you quite get what I'm trying to get at, but you know.
I think I get a general idea. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, outside of things like prep, I mean, it's definitely like there are definitely other skills you pick up. Things
Mhm.
like um, understanding like scores, um, scores and combos is a really big one, and just you need to kind of have a really good knowledge of like what combos equates to what score, like based on all
Mhm.
the current combos of like these 8 players, how quickly is this team going to come back? Do they have enough time left in the map? Um, Things like that. And that I think that mostly just comes with experience, but other things like pick bands as well. I think like for me, pick band stuff is mostly prep, but there's definitely some element of kind of evolution during the match where it's like, okay, maybe before the match, like in your prep, you've seen that this team is usually really good at DT, but all of a sudden in this match they've lost like two of the DT maps, so you kind of like learn to adapt on the fly and say, okay, maybe this other team wants to pick this now. But
Mhm.
really, for the most part, I think so much of it for me does is prep. There's definitely like other skills you pick up, but they're a lot more subtle. I'm sure there's like tons of them if I really were to like sit down and make a list, but they're
It's a lot
much
of
more
small
like subtle
things.
than
Yeah.
yeah, small things.
All right. Yeah, that is good. Let me just write that down. All right. Let's move on to a bit more of a retrospective question. To you,
Sure.
what is the purpose behind the commentary, and how does that sort of dictate the way that you go about doing so, or go about refining your craft?
Yeah, I mean, I think like at a very basic level, like the purpose of commentary is one to inform people during pick bans, so like inform people of what the team's skill sets are, what maps might be good for what teams for different reason, and then also to kind of direct people's attention during the play-by-play. So
Mhm.
your job is kind of to like, obviously if a player misses, call people's attention toward that. If accuracy is becoming a big factor in a certain map, draw people's attention there because a lot of people are not thinking about it. That's kind of like the very basics of it. I think like at a higher level, there's actually a lot of variance in the purpose of commentary based on the tournament, and I think like that's something I've put a lot more thought into over the past year. So like if you have like a smaller like open rank tournament, let's say, most of the viewers like are tournament players themselves.
Mhm.
So you're kind of just there commentating is more just entertainment, right? Um, they kind of know where to look because they've played plenty of tournaments for the most part, and so your job is more so to just entertain at that point. Whereas for something like OWC, my mindset is very much that like OWC is where you're going to attract by far the most viewers, right? You're going to get a lot of people watching who don't play or watch tournaments otherwise, and it's a great opportunity to get more people interested in tournaments. So in a smaller tournament, I might not think about it as much and just kind of I might have a more like relaxed commentary and focus more on the entertainment side of it. But in something like OWC, I'm focusing a lot more on the information because I think you have to be aware that people are watching who don't understand tournaments as much. They aren't
Mhm.
used to knowing where to look and where to follow. And so for an OWC match, I might like take the time to explain pick ban strategy. Like,
Ah,
oh, this team is picking, maybe this team is banning second for this reason, or this team is picking second for this reason. Whereas usually I otherwise wouldn't bother because, experienced tournament players don't need to hear me talk about pick ban strategy. And I think the same can be applied to 6WC. Like, if I was like commentating a 6WC match today, I would probably try to kind of be more informative with the commentary and kind of explain those
mhm.
nuances, because I would generally assume that there's a lot of newer tournament players that
Right.
could actually benefit from hearing about things like pick ban strategy and um, things along those lines.
Yeah. All right. I think the accessibility point definitely makes a lot of sense, right? When you have such a large viewer base, it's about knowing your audience, and yeah,
Yep.
definitely makes a lot of sense. How do you suggest that being a commentator that went from 6 digit all the way to open rank? Maybe you're not the best person to ask, but how do you suggest that newer commentators improve, and what kind of advice can you give to them or give to commentators who are interested in taking the extra step above?
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of a two-parter. I'll
Mhm.
so in terms of just improvement, the biggest thing I remember when I was new to commentary, especially with six-digit commentating with other six-digit commentators, my biggest like pet peeve is that people would like interrupt each other all the time. So like if
Ah,
you just like don't interrupt your other commentator, you're already like you're already doing great. Better than like 50, 70% of commentators at that
yeah,
point.
yeah.
Um, once you get that, I feel like I would say, don't worry about being like a color caster or a play-by-play or trying too hard to fit a specific skill set. I really don't think it matters at all until you get to like OWC type tournament.
Mhm,
Just have fun with the commentary. Do what feels natural to you, and you'll kind of naturally develop your own play style.
mhm,
And then I think I mentioned this earlier, but yeah, if you're like really trying to improve, just
mhm,
rewatch your VODs. I think that helps a lot. In terms of moving up on the ladder, like if you're trying to move up and commentate bigger and bigger tournaments, I'd honestly just do what I did. Join OSU Tournament Hub, commentate pretty much every whatever open rank tournament you can get into, and then once you feel like you've gotten to a high enough level at smaller open rank tournaments, you can start asking to be a part of some of the more known open rank tournaments and hopefully get into some of those.
mhm.
And I mean, really, like, obviously be careful not to burn yourself out. But if you want to, like, if you're trying to, like, min max commentary, then just grind as many open rank tournaments as possible.
Mhm. Yeah, because like it's like playing the game. Just do it more. Just cast more. Just cast more.
Yeah,
Mm,
I'll say like there's always like tournaments, even open rank tournaments looking for commentators in the OSU Tournament Hub. Like I
mhm,
promise, like if you're trying to move up in commentary, you really don't need any connections. There's like every couple days there's a new open rank tournament looking for commentators.
mhm. Yeah, it's just about how badly you want to do it, and how you can find your way or find your place in the scene. I guess, right?
Yeah, really how much time you're willing to put into it.
Yeah. All right. Uh, I think now we can move on to what is your most memorable moment in your history as a caster?
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, it's OWC Grand Finals 2023, United States versus South Korea. I commentated with Shivo and Dio, and it was such a crazy match. Like US won the first match 7-5. It was a super close 7-5 match. Then the
Mhm,
bracket reset went to a tiebreaker, and the US ended up winning. But honestly, could not have asked for a better match. But it was my first year commentating OWC as
oh
well.
wow!
So the fact and Shiba as well. It was also Shiba's first year. So the fact that we got to commentate grand finals,
Holy lock in.
and yeah, we were so locked in. Like that was so crazy to us.
Mm,
And like genuinely, all three of us, me, Shiba, and Dio, were super locked in for that whole cast. And like after the cast, like with the OWC Grand Finals going to tiebreaker in a bracket reset, like the adrenaline was pumping like crazy. Like my heart was like pounding. Like I was like I think
Doubters be silenced. Oh my god. Oh
yeah,
my
like
days.
after the match was over, like all three of us, we just kind of like sat there in call and we were just like we had no words. We were just like had to like take a moment to like process the match that had just been played. And like I mean immediately after the match, like the stream ended and immediately like all three of us were like, holy shit, that was like the best cast any of us have done in our lives. Like I think all three of us like genuinely felt like that was one of the best casts we'd ever done. I think that's probably still the best cast I've ever done.
Mhm,
And then like obviously because it's such a big match and with so many people watching, immediately after all the other like OWC staff hopped into the VC to hang out. So that was like super crazy as well. But like, yeah, I don't think anything since then can really compete. That was like such a surreal moment for me. And then also like I think there was like I don't know, something like 20,000 viewers on the mainstream, like
Mm,
25,000, and there was
mm.
like BTMC had like 10,000 viewers, and there was like another like 5,000 on other co-streams. So like overall, there was like 40,000
The
people watching,
world
which is
had
like
its eyes on
mind-blowing.
you. Yeah.
But it's like also just kind of like was so surreal for me to think about because I mean, like now obviously I guess I could say I feel pretty comfortable saying I'm like relatively well known in the OSU community now, but it doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily feel like it, right? Like I feel like I'm just a guy who commentated six-digit tournaments for a while, and now I'm doing the same thing, but the tournaments get slightly more viewers. So I had to like really like sit there for a moment. I was like, it's so crazy to go from like six-digit tournaments, just like having fun and like staffing with friends to now there's like 40,000 people watching this match that I'm commentating is like such a crazy feeling that is hard to describe.
Yeah, and not just that. I mean, I probably would go on off record and say that I think OWC 2023 the cast in that was it's probably the best VOD to review if you're like interested in commentary because it's just such a fun everything fell in place like you were cooking with all of the stats all of the like the insight that was given was just there it was up there Dio was up there and Shiba's lines I mean that was like the glue that was like the final punch that sealed the nail in the
Yeah,
coffin
I
phenomenal.
usually avoid like talking up my own commentary, but like we absolutely killed it on that in that
Nah,
2023
own it
cast, and like
bro, own it
we
bro.
we knew it too. Like all like that's what I was saying. Like after the cast,
Hmm.
all all three of us were like, holy shit, this is like the best uh commentary we have ever done, and might just be like the best commentary we ever will do. Like this is like this cast was like absolute perfection, and we just like sat there for like 5 minutes. We're like, man, we killed that.
I mean, it speaks for
I,
itself. It speaks for itself.
I don't like that's a weird thing too. I don't think I've ever come out of any other match and just had that like feeling of like, man, that cast was like perfect. I've had other casts where I'm like, yeah, that was a really fun cast. That was a great match. I was pretty solid, but nothing quite like 2023.
That was like do you think like 2023 was the point where you thought, wow, I did it, I made it. Look, ma, I made it. I'm like, man,
I
I got it.
peaked. I peaked
I peaked.
straight up.
Well, I mean, even
So
so, how do you think you've changed as a caster ever since that 2023 cast? Because you still do it very often. You're still one of the big names in commentary. So how have you improved from then?
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I've changed all that much.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've like by that point, I had my style pretty figured out, and I'm pretty was pretty confident in my commentary, and I kind of had my commentary where I wanted it to be. Um, Beyond that, I think improvements were more like were less like in my commentary and more like mental. So just
Ah,
focusing on making sure I'm not burning out. So because, you know, obviously when I do get burnout, commentary ends up being lower quality. So making sure I avoid that
mm.
and then just trying to improve my consistency. So I think like, yeah, by the time I had cast that, like I was pretty happy with where my commentary was at. Not to say it can still be improved, but at that point, my I was trying to focus more on mental improvement than commentary.
Ah. And I mean, while we're on the topic of that, are you looking forward to OWC 2025, or are there any other tournaments that you're looking forward to undertaking?
Of course, I still have so much fun with commentary. I think that's a big part of it. I still
Mm.
just enjoy it so much. Like every like big tournament. I mean, obviously OWC especially because it's the biggest one, but every tournament I get like so excited about. I like honestly, I'm just like want to see close matches and um, be able to commentate them, and I think that's a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm excited for OWC especially, but I'm sure plenty of other big tournaments coming up as well.
Yeah, I mean, Res Cup just wrapped up. It's do you know if
Yep,
SSOT is
that was a
coming
lot of
back
fun.
again? I was speaking to Fubo.
I don't know. I will say the ending of SSOT was a little bit of a
Bittersweet,
mess, so
bittersweet.
I'm not sure if we'll have another one, but I hope so.
Mhm.
It was a really great tournament, but yeah, just based off how the last one ended, I'm not so not so confident.
Yeah, but I mean
You know, you know.
that's a story. That's a story for another day. Those who know it, right? I don't.
Yeah,
Wait, did we
we don't
like
need to
this is not
elaborate.
big, right? Yeah, we have like four people. It's like it's fine. It's fine. Nobody will know.
Yeah, yeah,
Nobody
it's
will know.
fine.
Anyways, that aside, I guess now we have some time for some fun questions as we come to the end. If you could commentate a fantasy match between any two players in Osu history at their peak, who would it be and why? I kind of stole this question from another interview that I watched from a different game.
No, this is a fun question. See, at first I was thinking about like top players. I'm like, who are
Mm,
like some fun top players to watch? I was like, oh yeah, players like Vaxe, obviously Emmerich, and like Shakhtar. But I don't know. I think I have a definitely more of an unusual answer.
okay, okay.
But my fantasy match, peak Okoro versus peak Matthew. Um, Purely because as a player, I love like finger control and like aim control. There's like super rhythmic.
Oh,
Like my favorite map is Okoro Down, that like super rhythmic
ah,
map.
yeah.
And like Okoro and Mathi at their peaks were like two of the absolute best at like finger control, like rhythmic maps. So I would love to see those two play a match of like just a full pool of like rhythmic finger
Osu's a
control
rhythm
maps.
game. Osu's a rhythm game.
Exactly. It is a
Oh
rhythm
my
game.
god.
Let's see them play some rhythm. That would be
Oh
my
man.
fantasy match. That would go
Ekuru
hard.
versus Betty. I did not think of that. Wait,
Yeah.
I did not
Just
think that
on
is
just on finger control and rhythm, nothing else.
just only fake control and rhythm.
Only finger control. That would be
Damn.
such a treat.
Damn. Okay, that I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that. Oh man. All
Yeah, I feel
right.
like most people probably just pick two top players
Yeah,
and
Madness
that
versus
would mess things
Evrak.
up.
Just do Madness versus
But
Evrak. You know, we had
yeah,
that in
exactly.
COE. Well, you had COE
We
actually.
did.
Were you at
What's
COE?
that?
Were you at COE this year?
No, no, I wasn't.
Ah,
I'm a
that's
little
hard.
far away from COE. It's a little expensive.
Oh yeah, no, I mean same here, bro. But Europe,
Yeah.
Europe. Yeah. All right. I guess I guess this is sort of a big question, and it's not really related to commentary in general. But what do you think is the greatest lesson that you've learned through commentary? And I'm talking growth, growth not just in your skills as a commentator, but maybe you could say something about you as a person. How has Osu or commentary affected you as a person?
Yeah, I feel like the biggest lesson you could say has come not necessarily from commentary specifically, but just staffing a ton
Mm,
of tournaments in general. And the big thing I've learned is that you can never please everybody, right?
mm,
Like I've seen, there have been some incredible tournaments, and there are always people who are going to complain, and it kind of applies to commentary as well. Everybody has different preferences in their style of commentary. So I'm sure there are lots of people that really like my style of commentary, and I'm sure there are other people that just don't enjoy my style of commentary as much,
mm,
and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just the nature of having lots of viewers, lots of players participate. You're never going to make everybody happy, and you can kind of apply that to your own life as well. I kind of try to apply that to my personal life and not worry so much about trying to make please every single person and
mm.
just live my life.
I mean, how have you ever gotten scenarios where you have people calling you out for your commentary, and how do you like deal with that? What kind of mindset do you adopt when dealing with these kinds of comments?
It's interesting actually. Like I personally am like I've always thought like I'm very open to criticism. How anyone who wants to like, has criticism of my commentary and wants to like DM me on Discord, feel free. I'm always looking to improve my commentary.
Mm.
But actually I have not seen any like criticism or like negativity about my commentary.
Damn.
I don't know if it just like there isn't any or if I just like don't see it because I'm not really like on like Twitter or anything like that.
I
So
mean,
maybe
how
there
can you
is
hate
some and
on
I'm not
iFlame?
seeing it,
Then
but
again, how can you hate on iFlame?
there you
Like, he's
go.
just a chill guy, bro.
Exactly.
He's a chill
So
guy.
yeah, I maybe I'm just like super lucky, but I've mostly only had people like I really only had people messaging me like really positive things,
Mm,
which is really nice. I haven't actually had much criticism, but I think I don't think there's any like specific thing I would do to deal with criticism. I think just who I am as a person. I've never been super bothered by like criticism.
chill guy.
Just generally like, yeah, I'm not the perfect person. I'm sure there's Um, I'm sure there's something I can do better. And then it's also not you just have to remember, I think, if you are a commentator trying to get better and you do get criticism, you have to remember that it's not personal, right? It's and just don't take it too much to heart.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think that goes even more. That's even more important when it comes to hosting. I think
Oh, absolutely, dude.
Stage
Hosting
mentioned
is so
like
bad, man.
never feel entitled as a host. You know, people will shit on you. You might be spending however much
Yep.
time unpaid volunteering for their enjoyment, but they will still complain, and there's nothing you can do about it. You just
Yeah,
yeah.
hosting those two six-digit tournaments way back gave me like so much respect for hosts of like just how much work they do and how much
Do you
work
have a
goes
plan
into it,
on
and
going
also
back
like
into it?
how uh no, no chance.
No chance.
What I was saying is also how thankless it is, and as I was doing that hosting, made me realize very quickly that I absolutely hated it, and yeah, I won't be hosting any more tournaments. Like
Honestly, respect.
hosts do not get any appreciation, and they put like crazy how much work they put into to run a tournament.
Yeah, I think honestly like and you have commentary, right? At the end of the day, I think like the commentators get a lot of outreach. Of course, if the stream goes shit,
Yeah,
they're gonna attack you. You're lightning rod for attack. But at the end of the day, if something
yeah,
goes well, the commentators are the ones that are like out there on the stream, and the host. I mean, I can't even like I don't even think many people know who the hosts of OWC are. Like they know it's kind of like Chilia Pair, kind of like not Leo anymore, but like I think like there's a lot of underrepresentation when it comes to hosting. So honestly, it's good. It's good that you found your niche. And yeah.
yeah. No, I completely agree. Hosts don't get enough recognition, and I quickly found out I could never do it. So I very much appreciate all the people who do host because I definitely could not cut it as a host. But yeah, it's like, if something goes wrong with the tournament, a lot of that does come back on the host a lot of the time to deal with. Whether it was like a pool issue or a stream issue, the
Yeah.
host will deal with a lot of the backlash. And then like, I mean, if a tournament goes well and people are just like, yeah, tournament ran as it should,
Good
moving on
job.
to the next tournament.
Good job. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, go talking about a bit about the community while we're here. No, I didn't write this down, but as
Yeah,
a
sure, man.
commentator for a long time, I mean, how have you seen the scene change? Be it, I mean, in any aspect, the tournament scene.
Yeah, I mean, I love the OSU community, especially the tournament community. It's
Mm-hmm.
like a big part of why I've been doing this for so long, and part of why I was so motivated to improve my commentary is that like the whole tournament community is just like so friendly and welcoming, and there are a lot of like great people who both staff and play,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really nice that people are super willing to help each other out. Like especially I noticed in six digit, there was always like more experienced staff members who were kind of willing to take the time to kind of train or help out the newer staff members and show them the ropes to let them get into to staffing themselves. And so I have a really big appreciation for the OSU tournament community as a whole.
I
And
mean,
I think I mentioned this at the start, but a lot of my closest friends I've met through OSU tournaments.
I mean, and it also goes for this interview itself, right? Like, I don't think any other community I could get like big names like stage or even you on stream here talking to a random 6 digit tournament. So yeah, it definitely means a lot, and I definitely resonate with that. I guess we're sort of getting towards the end. So, do you have any last advice for new commentators looking to make a difference in the scene, or the kind of difference that you have made in the scene?
Yeah, I think I already gave some advice about commentary specifically. So,
Mm-hmm.
what I would say to anybody looking to get into commentary who maybe isn't sure about it or isn't sure whether they want to kind of try and commentate bigger tournaments is, just go for it. Get involved in the community. It's a lot of fun. You're going to meet a lot of cool people, and it is absolutely worth it. Even if it's doesn't have to be commentary either, right? Find something you enjoy, whether it's playing, refing, commentating, streaming, or even pooling. Just get involved in the community. It's always love to see new people, new staff members showing up in the community. And I mean, from a commentary perspective on my end, I always love seeing kind of new up and coming commentators and getting a chance to actually work and commentate with some of the up and coming commentators. So yeah, I'd say just get involved, join the community. It will be worth it. And I mean, I also want to say, I know we're coming to the end. Another thank you to you for
Oh, oh,
hosting and doing all these interviews, because I know these are a ton of work as well, putting all these questions together.
oh no, thank you so much, Shiva. And one last thing, I guess. Do you have any shout outs to anyone in particular? You know, any new faces that you see, or anyone who's helped you in your journey or whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, a few shout outs, huge shout outs to Bubbly and Elenian or Fairy Bread, who were really a big part of the reason I got started in commentary.
Mhm.
Shout out to T1G, who really kind of gave me my opening into high level commentary and was kind of a big proponent of how I ended up getting into Course Ace and then OWC. And also a shout out to Shiba, a player I've known for a long time, and I feel like a commentator that I had a very similar journey to. I actually think I believe I commentated Shiba's first match, and then we did some commentary together in
No
six digit,
way!
which is crazy. Yeah, I think we commentated a couple six digit matches together. So I've known about Shiba for a while, and then we got into Corsace and then OWC in the same year. So I feel
Wow,
like I've kind of like come up in my
brother
commentary
in
journey with
arms.
Shiba. So shout out there as well.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, is there anything else you'd like to add to the stream before we close it off? It's been about an hour and 20.
It has. No, I think that's it for me. I mean, thank you to anybody who's taken the time to watch the interview. Shout out to viewers of tournaments in general. They keep the tournament scene alive. So, really, thank you to everyone, whether it's staff, players, or just viewers. It's all important to keeping the tournament scene running.
Yeah, but maybe someday also become an esports, please. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for coming down to watch this guest of honor interview. The pleasure has all been mine to have iFlame in the commentary booth with me, answering all of these questions and providing a lot of very meaningful insight to the commentary scene, to the tourney scene in general. And I'm very happy that we managed to have this conversation. I might not be the analyst cast of all time, but I mean, I look up to a lot of commentators, and I can say iFlame as a six-digit alumni yourself. I definitely look up to you in that sense. But yeah, this has been the Slider Break. My name has been Gami Crayola. Thank you so much, iFlame, once again for coming. You're watching another Project Hexagon production, and I guess we'll see you in the matches that will be happening. Is that tomorrow? No, today. Later on today. So yeah,
Do
we'll
it.
see
Let's
you guys.
go.
Bye bye.
See ya.
Thank you.